Shabbat Shalom, Kal Halal, Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai, Ba'ashim Rakal Kodash, double honors to the elder apostles and elder bishops of GMS, including the elders that came before them that taught us this truth. Shabbat Shalom and salutations to all the brothers out pushing the word of truth and in sincerity, the hopeful elect tabernacle of David. To the Aquat that are listening and learning, being the pillar of rest, the 144,000 and 1/3, the hopeful elect of Israel. I'm the brother Yahshua, and Shabbat Shalom and salutation to you all. It's not going to work. It's not going to work for the Amalekites because they're divided against themselves, especially at the college level. So what we're watching, they're not reporting on this. Mark 3:24, if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. Okay? If Satan be divided against Satan, okay? Amplified Bible. If a kingdom is divided, split into factions and rebelling against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. Okay? I wanted civil war. There we go. A kingdom divided by civil war, see that, will collapse. All right, I'm going to keep this short, but I typed this in. Israelis against Netanyahu 1 day ago. Pressure on Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu intensified. Pressure from who? His own people. Okay, and you have to understand. See, they ain't showing this. This says ABC News. You don't see this. They got this hidden. Let's take a look.
This is the
ABC News. Pressure on Israeli Prime Minister intensifies. Well, yeah, that G word, that genocide, ain't too popular over there.
Israeli hostages. 64-year-old Keith Siegel.
Start from the top.
Overseas now to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who faces increased pressure at home and abroad over the war in Gaza. Thousands are protesting in Israel, demanding a ceasefire deal.
Those are his own people. And they know what's going on. See, you got some of these people, a lot of them are Jakes, right? And they're like this, you're making us look bad the world over. Because here it is, we're saying 6 million, but if you had it your way, and this thing continues, they'll set some new numbers. So.
The hostages. Hamas released this video of Israeli-American hostage Keith Siegel. This is the first time he's been seen after more than 200 days in captivity. Here's ABC's Tom Sufi Burridge.
Tonight, amid growing anger from families of hostages and a renewed US-led push to reach a ceasefire.
US-led push. Okay? It ain't no ceasefire coming. But see, if you know anything about the Vietnam War, or Vietnam, whatever, skirmish, whatever they tried to call it, that was like the first wartime event that was televised on national television. Okay, conflict, the Vietnam conflict, right? So now that's normal. So what do you do with that? Well, that whole Kent State debacle, right? This is basically the same thing. So how are they using the media? How are they using the info wars, right? Because that's a war in and of itself. Popular opinion is very important in waging a major war. All right, so let's watch a little bit of this.
Prime Minister Netanyahu under intense political pressure. The White House saying it supports a 6-week pause in the fighting.
Hamas has not fully rejected it. They are considering this proposal on the table.
President Biden speaking by phone today with Netanyahu to discuss the potential agreement ahead of planned negotiations in Cairo this week between Israel and Hamas. Netanyahu's government divided. Right-wing hardliners today threatening to leave the governing coalition.
They're what? Divided. What did they say? They're divided against themselves, shall not stand. Didn't we just read that?
Wing hardliners today threaten.
Let's hear that again. They're divided amongst themselves.
Right-wing hard.
Right here.
Government divided. Right-wing hardliners today threatening to leave the governing coalition if Israel agrees to what they call a reckless deal. On the other side, Israeli War Cabinet member Benny Gantz, warning if the government doesn't prioritise the hostages, it will, he says, not have the right to continue. Anger boiling over at protests against Netanyahu's government in recent days after Hamas released new videos of two American-Israeli hostages. 64-year-old Keith Siegel, seen for the first time in captivity, speaking under duress as he...
The point being made is these are Israeli protesters. These are Israelis. These are the actual Amalekites mad at their own people for what they're doing. Got to understand that. These are not Palestinian protests. These are Israeli protesters protesting what the Israelis are doing. Okay, and this is being kept on the low so that they can continue to wage this genocide.
...breaks down in tears. Today, Keith's brother, David, speaking to me from Rochester, New York, calling on Netanyahu to put the lives of the hostages first.
This is a central and critical moment.
There ain't no hostages in the West Bank. There ain't no hostages up there in shit. There ain't no hostages in Gaza. There ain't no hostages in Rafah, right? That's old. You can't use that.
Opportunity has to be taken advantage of by the Israeli government.
That video of Keith, released just 3 days after Hamas distributed a separate video of 23-year-old American-Israeli hostage Hersh Goldberg-Polin. Lindsay, President Biden reiterating to Netanyahu the US does not support a ground operation into Rafah on Gaza's southern border, where more than 1 million Palestinians are taking refuge. The Biden administration repeatedly calling such an operation a mistake. Lindsay?
Okay, so the point I'm making is that they're not all on board. Okay, let's read some of this. Imagine everyone saying the same thing, but one side calling it anti-Israel protest, the other side calling it pro-Palestine. Wow. Okay. It says the pressure on Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu intensifies from every quarter except the U.S. government. Yeah, this is just crazy. So everybody is just basically confused. It's not just Netanyahu. He has supporters and backers. Stop mass murderers. War criminals. Free Palestine. Netanyahu must go. Free Palestine. Interesting that you can protest against Gaza war, the Gaza war itself, but will go to jail for protesting it on American college campuses. See this? And who is getting, you know? We demand an immediate ceasefire and stop genocide in Gaza. Netanyahu should be jailed for life. This is it. Interesting that you can protest against the Gaza war itself, but will go to jail for protesting it on American college campuses, which brings us here. Let's go here now. I don't know where the hell we're going. Is it there? No, not there. Slovakia.
Anyone with...
It's not what I want. I want... Bear with me. Oh, Slovakia. I want this, wherever it is. Okay, so this is
Democracy Now!
This is Democracy Now! Okay, and Amy Goodman here is going to put on this guy who is an Israeli spokesperson. It says Israeli Holocaust scholar. He's a Holocaust scholar, Omer Bartov, on campus protest. Weaponized your aunt, Shima, silencing dissent. So let's watch a little bit of this because she's going to say it right away. These are Israeli protesters on the campus, Israeli students protesting, right? Are they anti-Shim? Are they? What's going on here? And if so, where does that bring us? It brings us right back here. Okay? A civil war. Okay? A kingdom divided by civil war will collapse. This is a kingdom. What kingdom? The kingdom of the Israelis. Right? Aren't they running the world right now and telling people what the hell to do? A nation whose people fight each other won't last very long. If a kingdom, Amplified Bible, if a kingdom is divided, split into factions and rebelling against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. Well, let's take a look at that. Against itself and rebelling, where is it? Damn, I'm not going to find it. There it is. Take it away, Amy.
Now, I'm Amy Goodman. As we continue to look at the crackdown on student-led Gaza solidarity encampments across U.S. campuses, we look now at how the Biden administration and several members of Congress have echoed intensifying accusations that the peaceful student-led pro-Palestinian protests are anti-Semitic. We're joined now by Omer Bartov. He's professor of Holocaust and Genocide Studies at Brown University. His recent piece is headlined Weaponizing Language, Misuses of Holocaust Memory and the Never Again Syndrome.
Okay, now let's take a look at this. Weaponizing language, right? Well, what do they talk about? They talk about this word right here. This is the word or the weapon that they're going to use to make us, the men of the Lord, an offender for a word. So we already know what this whole setup is, right? This is all a head fake because they're coming after the men of the Lord. So anyway, take it away.
The professor recently visited the Student Gaza Solidarity Encampment at the University of Pennsylvania, sharing on social media a photograph with the Israeli historian Raz Segal and a message that said, quote, with Raz Segal at the UPenn encampment on April 26th, warm and open conversation about the perils of anti-Semitism and its current weaponization.
Okay, see, this right here should be, I'm gonna grab this, because that's a good cover there. I'll even get democracy now in there. I like the red. Boom. Yeah, because they're weaponizing this word, okay? And they're coming after us. We're the target. Okay, that's what they're doing. This is all the dog and pony show, because once they're able to put a law around that word, they're coming straight after it.
Omer Bartov is also author of numerous books, including Genocide, the Holocaust, and Israel-Palestine, First-Person History in Times of Crisis. He's an Israeli-American scholar who's been described by the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum as one of the world's leading specialists on the subject of genocide. He's joining us now from his home in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Professor Bartov, welcome back to Democracy Now!
Here it is. They own these words: genocide, ethnic cleansing, and Holocaust. They own those words, right? But here it is. They've been doing it. Planned Parenthood. All I got to do is say Planned Parenthood. What the fuck is that? Okay, Sanger. That's a small hat. Now wait a minute. You can openly, right, and secretively conduct a campaign of genocide going back hundreds of years. It's still going on today under the name Planned Parenthood. But we're the bad guys? Come on now. Margaret Sanger, we got to exterminate these roaches. What about that? That's here today. That's going on today. A campaign going on today. But we're the bad guy. You got to go weaponize this word, right? And come after us. But what about the genocide going on right now with Margaret Sanger, who's in her grave, but her work still carries on? What about that?
If you can talk about what's happening on these college campuses, what your visit to the UPenn encampment was like, as your own university, Brown University, students have set up an encampment, and their chant is from Columbia to Brown, we will not let Gaza down. And talk about what authorities are charging are the charges of anti Semitism, although so many of those involved in these encampments are Jewish, with groups like Jewish Voice for Peace.
Boom. What is this? What's going on? This is what's going on. Under everybody's nose, you're throwing around a bunch of words that don't even fucking apply to you. All right? It applies to us, right? This has never stopped. This has never stopped, and we're going to end it. Margaret Sanger must Hey, how are you doing? Good, good. Are these two cars on yours? Yeah. Slovakia. Still going on. Yeah, so I got to move this car out of the way. Margaret Sanger. I'll probably do a follow up on this because must keep secret Negroes. Let's see what this brings up. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this. Planned Parenthood, eugenics, racism, hatred. This thing still goes on. Is Planned Parenthood open today? Of course it is. All right. So, yeah, pretty hard to say genocide and use all of these things, and we're somehow anti ourselves when right, when you got this going on. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna close this. We see where this is going. So yeah, we'll bring this out. We'll make the contradiction. It's just too much out there, right? What is birth control? It's a way to exterminate a population is what it is. Right? Let's get one on the way out. We're not ignorant. Right? 2 Corinthians 2 and 11. Slovakia. Bear with. See if this will come right up. 2 Corinthians 2. Should come right up. And I'll go ahead and close. Slovakia. They're tearing up the street in front of the house, and I have to comply. Come on, you guys. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Second Corinthians 2:11 reads, "Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices." Margaret. Margie, where you at? There you are. We know you've been waging a genocidal campaign going back years. Anyway, we hope that the elect are edified. Salakia for getting cut short. Shabbat Shalom.